Morning. Oh, good. Plenty of people here. All right. Get the hair sorted. 1, 2. There we go. Hello, everybody. Coffee time, I think. Good morning, Scott. How are you this lovely, well, it might not be, it's not morning where you are, is it? It's a cold British morning here, I can tell you that. However, I got a new jacket yesterday to keep me warm in the studio. What do you think? Probably a lot of black going on these days, isn't there? Yeah, I'll come back to that in a minute. Smart Alec. It is cold in the basement. Oh, thank you for the compliment on the jacket. Very nice. It's All Saints. Yeah, so I went and treated myself yesterday because I want to try and look cool all the time. Yeah, it's all right, isn't it? Very trendy. I suppose with the jeans, with this colour jeans and the jacket, it's got a bit of a Ramones look about it, hasn't it? Maybe I need to be in a New York retro punk band. I think the only problem there is they probably wouldn't like the shredding. All right, who else have we got here? Let's see, I'll guess who's here. Is Sean here? Let's summon Sean. Graham's here. Hi, Graham. Morning. You're in the UK, so you'll be cold. You'll be freezing. So we're going to do a bit more splurging today once I get my head woken up. Had a good day playing guitar yesterday. It was very good. I think my playing's shaping up a little bit. Sitting over a radiator. I have to switch my fan heater off, you see, in here because of the stream. I mean, I've got a noise gate which cuts a lot of it out, but as soon as I start talking, then you get this kind of gated white noise coming in and out. It just drives me. It's just irritating. Maybe if it was like on a track, I wouldn't be so bothered. So, but yeah. But it is cold. Yes, so I think this week we'll have to do some splurging. Next week we'll be doing more studio-y kind of stuff and splurging because definitely sounding good. Thank you, Scott. Yeah, I honestly think because I'm really like hyper focused on guitar playing at the minute. So like I really do think like this is the ultimate way to practice is just going on live and streaming in front of everybody because I just like it's the first thing I do in the day, right? And I get to see I watch back my performance. I get to analyze myself straight after the show, and it is a show, by the way. I get to analyse my playing straight after the show. So I do my wins, problems and opportunities. And then, you get good at doing these like little micro practices. So everything I do throughout the day playing, I can focus on these like tiny little areas, which has been working out really, really well. And actually, you don't need, tons and tons of time to practice. What you do need to be is you just need to be aware of what you're practicing and also why you're doing it. This is the big thing because you want to be thinking about what's the end user receiving, what is the listener getting, and also how do you want to express yourself. So there has to be the why. why you're doing something's very, very, very important. And then you just focus on that. And because there's a why, it means usually it's very, very center focused on the style that you're trying to go for. I'm some kind of like, I just like this idea's future kind of rock sort of blues thing that I'm doing at the minute, where it's sort of fragmented pentatonic scales and weird sort of note groupings and combinations. And that's what I'm focused on at the minute. That and actually the latest thing for me hasn't been that. It's been really interesting. So I'm moving from technique now into phrasing. So I expected this would happen. So the technical thing's moving into the phrasing thing. So like now, the focus for me is just getting my ear right with using chromatic notes. I'm really into kind of sort of chromaticism, but it's like how I use it. I want to make sure that I use it in not, it's got to be Hutch, hasn't it? So that's kind of what I'm currently working on. So a little bit of ear training. Like at the minute, I'm in that very sort of thinky phase with it, where I'm thinking a little bit ahead of myself when I'm improvising, when I'm using it. So I've got to think about what notes I'm landing on and then how I'm actually getting there with these chromatic notes. So I'm in that process. And then it's kind of a process of what works and what isn't working, and then just curating those ideas. And then once they're curated, it's just a simple method of practicing it. And that's the way to do it. But I feel like there's a natural shift going into there, and then I suppose the why for me is, well, there's two whys. I think with my playing, it needs some sort of way of it needs some sort of coloration. It needs some added interest out there. So just to make it a bit more challenging for the listener and myself to do is the trick there. But technique-wise, so I remember like kind of really getting, what it was that really triggered me in guitar playing sort of over a period of time to really get back into it was, it's been a few things actually, but the first thing that kind of started it off was when I was being coached. So I was actually being coached and coaching on a program, this mastery program. It was about 2 years ago now. And the last sort of thing we did was this exercise. And now it was based on, at the time, sort of like studio production-y kind of stuff that you would do, like compositional things. And it was just, what we were looking at was looking at the things that you automatically do, like the automatically go-to, licks that you might churn out in improvisation. Or like things you do in the studio that you just churn out, or notes that you play, or combinations of notes, or things like that. And then, and it was aimed at all the things that you used to do, that you used to think were good, that you keep doing, right? That like annoy you now. So, that just feel like, oh, why did I do that? Oh, I've done it again. It's like a habit, this, right? So there are certain things that I play and I do, like even now I think, oh, why have I done that? So this is all about kind of looking at those things and recycling them. So I had to look at all the kind of things that, I ended up like turning this in on guitar, and I had a good look at all the things that I've been playing for years and years that like I was stuck playing with because I didn't have many other ideas, and then wondering about how to like upgrade what was there. Now, why would I upgrade something that I don't like? Well, the interesting thing about this that I didn't really realize was when I first kind of started playing these things, they came from a point of, this sounds good, I really like this, so that's why I'm going to continue playing it. It's just that I've kind of lost touch with it. So it was really, I made a big list of all of these things and massive brainstorming sessions about how I can take these things and redevelop them, redesign them, repurpose them. And what came out of that slowly was, I think the first thing I looked at was probably like pentatonic scales. So I became really interested in sort of like how to get as much mobility about the fretboard with pentatonic scales. And this included 2 notes per string, which is what it ended up at, because I would do 3 notes per string because, my shred upbringing started with. I was kind of the more Racer X Paul Gilbert, Richie Kotzen kind of thing. And everything was sort of really 3 notes per string. But I had to get the 2 notes per string thing going. So that was the first focus, and that kind of like helped me, bridge a lot of things together by doing that. But then what happened is I stumbled upon, see alarm clock going there. I stumbled upon, it's from my concentration. Never mind. Then I stumbled on sort of doing these little bits of, hi Sean, little bits of economy picking. Like sort of how Joe Bonamassa would do it, or stuff like that, because I wanted to do these descending like runs. And that was the start of the economy picking, and I think like that went on for a while, the sly economy picking thing. And then I remember it being like, actually, I can do these things, and I'm not thinking about it as much. And then that slowly developed into more economy picking, to me just throwing the gauntlet down, throwing the glove down, and going, right, I'm going to economy pick. Here we go. And November, I can't remember, I think it was the beginning of November, or maybe at the end of November, was my economy picking birthday when I did the switch. And what a great move that was. So a lot of the thing was like, why am I doing that? So the reason I was doing it was simply because I wanted a technique that would allow me, right, to repurpose all of these things that I had. And what I wanted it to do was, I was wanting to be able to play them and have odd note groupings, and to be able to cross strings like with any sort of combination of number of notes that I wanted. And economy picking was the thing to do that, because pretty much you're just traveling in one direction, so it's less confusing to think about once you get it into muscle memory. You're not thinking about the mechanics of alternate picking, which can get very complicated. I mean, Thomas is an absolute master at doing this. He's like really, really good at just navigating around really awkward combinations of notes without doing a little sly economy pick. I mean, I'm sure he does it here and there. I'm sure he's done. There's one lick on School of McRock that has it to make it more playable. So I mean, he's very like sort of adaptable like that, but very sort of, and he's great to watch as well, because if you ever want to see alternate picking done really, really well, and like really odd, weird note groupings when you're watching him shred, he's a perfect specimen. Because you can see the kind of rotations on his wrist of how he's like flipping the pick over the strings to get to where he wants to go. So I mean, I was doing that for a bit, but it was just too thinky for me. So that's why the economy picking thing happened for me. That's why I wanted to do it. I wanted to take the thinkiness out of it, and I wanted to just concentrate on the music, because at that point I'm thinking about the technique. I'm thinking about, I'm going to mess it up. I'm going to have to be careful, right? I don't want to have those thoughts, because as soon as that happens, right, you're thinking about that, and then you're not thinking about the music. And as soon as you're not thinking about the music, you're not playing with the music. And if you're not playing with the music now, you're going to play something wrong. So that's why the economy picking thing happened, to take that thinkiness out, to free me up. So if you ever wanting to kind of be free, it is a possibility to do. And the other thing is I suppose the good thing for you guys is you would probably be able to see, if you were following the lives, you would have been able to see my progress and how I kind of quickly turned it round. And what was like really like riveting, because it's quite traumatic to learn a technique like that, because you end up in a transition period potentially, if you're unlucky like me. I mean, I'm not saying everybody's like me, right? But I ended up, there was a pivotal moment where I couldn't, like, my alternate picking was now really shit, and then I was a really bad economy picker, and that was like a very weird place to be. So there's is just there's a good, yeah. So I always watch the right hand of great players, because that's where the interesting secrets are, and that's absolutely 100% true. Once you kind of know that those picking angles. It's a brilliant thing to watch. And I love the Troy Grady stuff, where he's got like one of those magnet cameras and zooming in. In fact, I think I've been watching his development. He's got a startup campaign on the magnet holder. And as soon as I better check because it might have come out. I did email him to ask him about it, but as soon as it's out, I'm going to get one. And I'm going to magnetize my guitar. I'll have a magnet camera on, then we'll be able to see the picking technique. I think it'd be a good thing to watch if you're into that for now and then. Maybe not all the time, but certainly I'll be using it. So that was the economy picking thing. So that did, the weird note groupings of things and strings, whatever. And made the playing less thinky, and it just, sounding a lot better. And then the other thing was the other big shift has now been hybrid picking. So that's a different story, because early on there was little bits of it, and I would start doing it and do little bits of hybrid picking. Actually, hybrid picking, right, really threw me. I found it quite difficult. Right, I'm certainly not. I mean, if you're ever natural to anything, right, which I don't believe in natural talent, I definitely wasn't naturally talented at hybrid picking, because I really felt the struggle probably more than the economy picking. Just the other thing is it wasn't totally detrimental to my technique. It was the hybrid picking felt like an add-on. I could take it and leave it. And I think actually that was probably part of the problem of learning it, because it just made the whole process very, very intermittent. So Des is working on hybrid with pentatonics lately. Yeah, and what a wonderful thing to do. So, then it comes down to, all right, hybrid picking. Why do I want to do it? Well, I've got the economy picking thing, so that's all working very well. I've got my hammers from nowhere. That's pretty good. But I want a way to do at least one note per string, and like pick it and have some sort of attack to it, and to be able to do wide interval shapes. The other thing I needed to do was just to give my legato a little bit more energy, because I wanted to play legato on acoustic guitar. And it's really, really hard. Getting the tone of it right with a pick isn't it's okay, but you can always hear the attack of the pick a little bit, and you have to give it a bit more attack on the acoustic guitar to get the notes going. So that didn't work 100%. So I needed a different way to do that. So that was the first part of it, was the hybrid picking, just for this finger. So and that technique that I use, all that's about is just connecting another bit of skin with the skin on this hand, so you've got the same sort of tone coming out of the guitar. So you can disguise the attack of the note in with the fingers, which is just brilliant. So you can just get this continuous, really great, energetic legato lines by doing that, and it just keeps things going. And it's absolutely brilliant. That in combination with hammers from nowhere, really good. So that was part of it. And then the other part of it was to be able to do wide interval jumps and string skipping. Because again, I didn't like the string skipping thing with a pick. It's it's awkward. It's clumsy, and I can't be bothered anymore. And this brings me to another thing that I think is really interesting, is because I used to do the string skipping thing with the pick, and why was I doing that and not the hybrid picking? And the truth of the matter is, because I've done this from, when you're young, you have much more of an ego, and I don't mean an ego going about, oh, I'm the best and all this kind of thing. Not that, but an ego with yourself where you think, I have to get this technique down if it kills me, and it's a detriment to anything else that's going on, right? So I would do string skipping, okay, and I would try and copy the Paul Gilbert thing, but there was absolutely nothing really going on about that. I was like, well, I wasn't really thinking about how I was going to use it in the context of a piece of music. All right. So I wasn't thinking about connecting. I was just simply thinking about solving this abstract problem that didn't actually connect with anything, because of my own DNA telling me that I wouldn't be very good if I couldn't do it, or I wouldn't be as good as that player if I couldn't do this particular thing. And that was like loads of frustration. That was like when I was a lot younger. So you'd put hours into things that weren't really connecting with anything, or you didn't know how it was going to connect. And again, that, you could do it, and, I could play and I could improvise, but I'd have to stop and think, right, this is the difficult bit. And then it was a roll of the dice whether I'm going to pull it off. Hybrid picking, a lot easier. It's just kind of there. The string skip is there. It's just a natural thing. So just do that. Much nicer, easier to think of, and you can remain focused on the music. So, and again, that absolutely, there was that, and both of these techniques, that technique in particular, the hybrid picking became very important, because what it really did allow me was to completely kind of recycle all of my licks. So I was able to recycle everything with string skips and weird combinations and sequences and stuff in a much more freer, kind of less thinky way that was fun to do. And that's the other thing, is like once you get the hybrid thing over the hump, it becomes really fun to do. And that's one of the main points of I think why I'm launching into this guitar chat this morning. So sounds rough. It's a mission, but it's a fun one. That's the thing, because you start making a little bit of progress, and you want to just keep going, don't you? That's the thing. Okay. Des is saying, yeah, string skipping comes into its own with hybrid. So much faster, smoother than with a pick. Yeah. And of course, you've got that extra level of dynamics, haven't you, with the finger as well? It's giving you a totally different tone to what you would get with the pick. So you've got a much more wider dynamic range and palette of sounds just coming out of your own body. So sorry about talking about this, but I do think it's important, and it's good. It's a good thing for me to talk about, because it's bringing things together in my head about what I'm actually doing with my life as far as guitar's concerned, because it's a big thing at the minute. I'm like, I'm playing, so to speak. So yeah, but the hybrid thing wasn't. It was very, very intermittent, and but there was a breaking point, and I'll tell you what that was. The breaking point for me to do it was quite simple. Actually, it was and I got the idea, because I never have my own ideas, to be fair. I realised from a couple of things. The first thing was, although it didn't push me into action, was Victor Wooten, what he was saying about babies just make a noise, don't they, when they're learning to talk? They just make a noise, and they're experimenting with their vocal range and all this kind of stuff, right? And they are surrounded with expert teachers helping them to then develop that into language. But you never say to a baby, quiet, you're saying it wrong, or you're doing it wrong, you're talking wrong, so don't do it. And I think there was part of that with the hybrid picking. I was starting and stopping because I'm doing it wrong, I'm not sure how to correct it. And that wasn't actually the way to go in this, because actually fundamentally getting your fingers on the screens on the strings is quite a natural thing to do. So that kind of was there. And then I connected that with, because then I started listening to a lot of interviews with guitarists, and I think there was a Richie Kotzen one that I stumbled on, and he just said about how he kind of transferred from picking into just fingers. He did the pick thing, he did the hybrid picking, and then he did fingers only. And at the end of the day, when he did that fingers only transition, I mean, what he did is he just decided there and then, I'm not going to use a pick at a gig. So he put himself under pressure and he didn't use a gig, and it was okay. And then, very, very rapidly, by not using the pick. So he literally forced himself not to use a pick. He took the pick out of the equation, and that got him working really quickly, and then repurposing everything for his new hand setup that he's got. And I thought, well, that's really interesting. So what I need to do is, I just mentally did a switch of like, I'm not going to economy pick, I'm not going to alternate pick, I'm just going to spend a day, right, just doing that. And sure enough, I made myself do it, improvising, and there was mistakes all over. But when you put yourself under that pressure and you force yourself to do it in a situation where there is pressure, you learn very, very quickly, because you can't stop and you can't practice. So I was doing like a lot of improvisational kind of therapy sessions at work, and it was all just doing that. And that's how I kind of got it going really quick through use. And I was able, again, that whole micro practicing thing. So every little improvisation I did, well, they weren't little, some like half an hour long. Every little session I did, I quickly did wins, problems, opportunities. Okay, so this is really important. Doing your wins, problems, and opportunities, right, is just a great way to get better at everything. Free write about the wins. Had a great time, and there's always a win, even if you feel bad in a practice session, right? The fact that you turned up, right, is a win. Okay, the fact that you got up in the morning is a win if you have to, But there's always a win, even in the most terrible, downest of guitar periods or life, even there's always something that there is a positive focus, and it's important we identify this. And the reason is because it opens us up to learning. When we feel good about something, it's like, all right, okay, I can see that, right, that's good. I can continue. I am making some progress, and that's why that wins, problems, and opportunities is. And every coaching session I do, pretty much, unless there's something in particular I want to do, it always starts and ends with the wins, problems, and opportunities. I always start with wins, and I'll not let anybody go unless they come up with the win. They can't move on to the problems, because we're so natural as human beings. We're just straight on to problems all the time. I'll say, what are the wins? And people start talking about problems. Like, no, wins first. So it's important to have that. And then, you're talking about problems next, aren't you? And problems, as we know, are great. And this is like the whole thing about the micro practice. So again, you free write on all of your problems. And we've got to remember there are two distinct areas, right, that you need to think about. Okay, and the first one is we've got the outer game, and we've got the inner game. Now, I'm always like, the thing that fascinates me the most is the inner game, because I think that's where I've had the biggest kind of hack kind of shifts in my life, where I've done something and I've thought, oh, that was easier than what I thought it was, and it was just a mental switch. But the outer game is also important. So we've got the outer game, which is, the physical mechanics and technique of what's going on the instrument. The outer game, it's all the stuff that lives outside of the body. Inner games, our thoughts and feelings that are going on internally in us. So bearing that in mind, I would write about those problems. And then your opportunities is and I would free write about it. So like when you're free writing, this is really important. I'll explain why a free write. The reason it's a free write, there's a great book called Accidental Genius by, I can't remember the author, but anyway, it's brilliant. And because like the whole splurging mentality comes from this. Okay, a splurge is like a free write in music. The whole free writing thing is, there's a lot of stuff going on in the background in our subconscious, and apparently our brains make decisions for us that we're not conscious of. And what the free write does is brings all of that good unconscious thinking to the conscious, okay? And then from the conscious, we can write it into an action, and then it becomes something that can exist outside of our body that we work on. But to get there, what we have to do is we'll have to set an environment up, free writing, where we're just writing our thoughts, because nobody has to read it, as fast as possible in a time limit about something. Okay, so in all of these wins, problems, I would set a timer, 5 minutes to do all of it, and I would just write as much as I could, about the problems. Okay, literally. And like you might feel like stopping, or you might feel at first, I can't think of any problems. And if that's the case, you just write anything. So I'll just write, don't know why I'm even doing this free, right? Loads of go. And then eventually the ideas just start coming and you write as fast as you can. And if it's a particularly long free write, you might reach what's called the impasse, where you've got no more ideas. You just have to keep writing either the last word or scribbling, right? And then eventually more ideas come out. And usually that bit after the bit where you get stuck, that's where the really good stuff comes out. That's where the subconscious is really kicking in, because it's natural for us to just free write the conscious thinking, and then after that it's the unconscious thinking for me. And then you get all this good stuff that's absolute chaos down, and that's why we have the opportunities, because the opportunities is where you can go through this free write, and then you'll discover things that you weren't 100% aware of in there that you can now look at and create some sort of like plan of attack on how you're going to move your playing or your production forward. So and that's where it gets really exciting, because then you think, great, I can do this little, like, and it might be just like working on a couple of picking angles, it might be working on one lick, but suddenly you'll get excited about it, because you know that if you do that one thing, your playing's going to be better that day. And that's how you do it. And another thing that massively helped me is there's another book. Again, I can't remember the author. You can look these up. Graham tends to look these up. Who did Accidental Graham will look these up. I'm sure he's normally good at these things. Who is the author of Accidental Genius and Atomic Habits? Atomic Habits is another great book as well. And there's a really good bit about the British cycle team, and how they became like one of the how they were like one of the worst cycle teams, and how they became one of the best ones. And it was literally process of wins, problems, opportunities. They went through all what they thought about, right, was we just have to make 1% improvement in everything we do, and we're gonna, and just that, right, 1%. I get excited thinking about it now because I've just remembered about it. If you can imagine, you can easily go through your life today and make everything that you do 1% better. You can make your legato 1% better. You can make your alternate picking 1% better. You can make all of that 1%. You can make your music production 1% better. You can open your car door more efficiently 1%. Everything can be done 1%. And that's what the British cycling team did. They would like remove one screw from a bike to get it lighter. They would paint the inside of the vans white so they wouldn't lose anything. They would get a sleep coach in and make sure the riders were getting good sleep. They made sure that they were washing their hands correctly, and personal hygiene training was done, so there was less sickness. So they did all of these like little incremental things. Mark Levy, there we go. So that's the Accidental Genius. And then who was Atomic Habits? Yeah, so there you go. Scott, 1% improvement. That's all you're going to do. 1% improvement. It's a wonderful thing. But yes, I mean, it's like, you just say, oh. That's funny, right? I've mentioned not playing with a pick, and then D. Rich is summoned. He must have like woke up in a dream going, Hutch is on, he's talking about playing with fingers. Did someone mention not playing with a pick? Sounds like a great idea. Hope you and what's the chances of that? I start talking about hybrid picking and he turns up. Yeah, I'm keeping great. D Rich, great to have you on here. And I hope you're playing lots and doing your 1% improvement in everything that you do. There we go. James Clear, Atomic Habits. So there's two really good reads, but fundamentally, the free writing one, that's splurging, isn't it? And a way of getting to the subconscious. And Atomic Habits is, it's all about improvement, that 1%. So if you could imagine, every time you sit down with a guitar now, everybody who's playing guitar and everybody who's doing music production, just think about what is the one thing you're going to do before you play it, and how you're going to make it 1% better You know, and if you make it 1% better today, it'll be 2% better tomorrow, 3% the next day. End of the week, you're going to be 7% better. 14% better in 2 weeks. That'll do, won't it? A month, do the maths, 28%. So in a month, you'll be 28% better. 2 months, like nearly 50%, 48% better. So it's like incredibly powerful. And if you times that by multiple things that you're going to be practicing, it's a very, very powerful tool or way of thinking. So I know I haven't prepared for this, and I wasn't intending on having a chat about guitar playing, but I do think now and then I've got to talk about stuff and just have a little bit of a debrief on things or how they're going. I just feel like I'm at that point with the guitar playing where it's coming together nicely, and you know, I'm looking at other things to do now with guitar without being too jazzy. That's the trick, isn't it? What direction? I'm at the kind of what direction. I've got my chromatic thing going on, so I'm gonna keep going with that. There's the chromatic thing, and I think I do need to work on sort of the timings of things. So I did start doing. Occasionally, I have like the Tom Quayle phase. So there's a couple of instructional videos he's got. I don't do any of the licks, but the exercises are really good in terms of being conscious of like the subdivisions when you're doing legato, and I do find that really. There you go. There's Des. D. Rich, your non-plec playing is so impressive. There you go. And Des is guitar quality control officer here on the show. So you would know, you'll have had a clipboard and you'll have assessed. There'll have been certain criteria that you'll have had to have completed for you to be safe. On. I know it must have been a fate. We'll be aiming to tune in more often. Apologies for being away so long. No, that's good. In fact, you'll enjoy what's happening at the minute because I've been playing more on the shows actually. Show on the channel. Don't know what I'm calling it today. I don't know what this is actually. It's just a live thing, isn't it? So, what was I saying? Yeah, so there's been a lot more playing on here. D. Rich, for sure. A broadcast, I like that. That's more BBC, isn't it? And it's a broadcast. Thank you, Des. Right. What am I doing? Right, I better do some splurging here. So, first thing, tune your guitar. There we go. Tuned. Foot pedal. Right. Just see what's what. Excellent. Oops. Okay, that's my warm up done. Tell you what, I've got this jacket on, but it's really like I haven't got the mobility here. didn't have the bar length right, but I'll just go with it. Always just dropped in before heading off to work, but we'll be tuning in more often. Hope everyone's having a great day, sounding good. Looking great as well, hey? Right. It's great, that reverb, isn't it? It's that reverb that's decaying, that's like super massive by Valhalla, and it's totally free. So let's just get the headphones unplugging. Come on. And you go. Come on. 1, 2. Can't hear anything. Right, that's better. Okay, so I need to just quickly bounce this down and get it in some sort of order. There's the spilled coffee everywhere. See, this is, it's music production on the coal face, so we're just going to do a bit of cleaning. Yeah, it's important to keep your workspace clean. Clean workspace, clean ideas. All right. Here we go. I'm ready. Fire. So I'm DJing here. Get ready for the drop. Alright, that's the verse section. Right, and that's where that goes up to, and then I think very quickly get rid of all that blank space there. We'll just quickly drop in and do some quick shred on the verse section. Okay. too busy looking at my hair going, Jesus, look at it. Do. Right, so I don't care about style. It's all about the notes, isn't it? Right, okay. So, mistakes, right? And I'll end on this. A mistake is a hidden intention. So, when I'm splurging, I don't mind mistakes. Because as long as I know what it is, you know, it's like the free writing thing. As long as I can make out what I'm writing, then it doesn't matter what it looks like. I need to make sense of it. That's it. And then I can kind of make it into what it's supposed to be. So there you go. So every time you do a mistake, just remember it's okay. It's a hidden intention, and that's massive. And that's like, you know, I'm not taking the mic there or anything. Like that's like a serious thing that I think. Now, where did I get that from? I think, again, that might be a Victor Wooten pearl of wisdom there, a hidden intention. But all these little things, it's like it plays on the inner game and really, really helps you. And it's like when you think, well, I don't mind making mistakes now because it's a hidden intention, it then becomes really hard to make mistakes. So it's funny how it works, isn't it? It's like if I go to somebody like and you know, have a look for a really crap track in your sketchbook, right? Suddenly they can't find a crap track. But if I go like look for a track in the sketchbook and decide which one you want to work on, sometimes like, I don't know, like, oh God, they're all really bad. So it's funny how you can just flip the mind, isn't it? So I think we're coming to a close. Does anybody want to say anything on here? Does anybody want to ask me a question? Because as I always say, and it's probably because you're all experts, so you don't have that many questions, right? So, but if you do have a question, use this broadcast, and it is a broadcast because Des has told me it's a broadcast, and I now realise that that's what it is I'm doing, which is brilliant. So use this broadcast as a resource. So if there's something you want to know, and I know it, I'll tell you. But if I don't know it, I'll say I don't know, and then I'll start looking into the problem, which is even better, actually, because then if I don't know something, maybe I should know it. So that's even better. Yeah. So use it as a resource. It's your first step. Think of it as your first step before doing a mindless search on YouTube and getting loads of tons of information that may not or may work, but how do you know? At least you can see some things working. And there we go. So thank you, everybody. Tomorrow I've got my coaching group, so there is no live session. Thursday we're back on, and as always we'll be playing. Friday we're on, and this time I'm sure, though Thomas was busy last Saturday, touch plastic. We should be doing a McRocklin Hutch thing, which I'm really looking forward to, because I've missed doing the big live show. And I don't know, maybe we're standing up and doing the green screen. I'll ask. We'll find out. But that'd be good, wouldn't it? Because I do like that 80s living room that we're in. Great. So Sean, that's another thing, right? Do your wins, problems, opportunities, and then put your, you know, when you're doing that, just see what questions come out that you could ask. And also tell me about your experiences. Of course, we're all human, and kind of like we all have the same operating system. So it's good that we get identification, because I think like one of the problems was with me as a pre-coached producer, is I thought all of my problems were unique to me, and then I realized I wasn't a special snowflake. And like basically everybody else is like having the same struggles, which was it was a come down to think that I wasn't special anymore, but it was also totally liberated me, and that's how I moved forward. But more on that another day. All right. Okay. I'll see you guys Thursday. And yeah, Sean, I'm looking forward to these questions, so I'll be asking you now you've said it. All right. I'll see you then. Bye.